Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Golf Lovers United podcast. I am Golf Love UK, and that is Pro Golf Critic, and it is, for the first time we've been doing this, it is definitely hotter in the United Kingdom than it is in LA where you are right now. We are in 29 degrees. It is that sticky, hot, humid that we get in the UK. It's I would describe it as... I describe it as early October, Florida.
Yeah, that's when the weather in Florida actually starts to get good. So you can imagine how bad it is the rest of the summer. So yeah. But yeah, no, it's hopefully it doesn't last too long for you.
No. I'm not going to. I'll cope with it. I'll cope with this rather than grey and miserable.
I prefer grey and miserable, if I'm being honest.
Just because I bought an air conditioning unit. I've got an air conditioning unit at home. Like, spend a couple of £1,000 on some air conditioning, and then you can enjoy this weather.
That is true. Yeah, if you don't have AC, if you live in a hot climate, you are just totally boned. So, luckily, I don't have to deal with that. It's been absolute perfect weather here in California the last few weeks. Even moving to the summer. It's part of the reason why there needs to be more U.S. Opens out here. There needs to be more high level championship golf during the summertime on the West Coast, because you don't have to deal with all the stuff they dealt with at Oakmont.
There's too much in the Southeast and too much in like that Middle East belt of America where it's warm, it's sticky. You get horrific rain. It seems to me that like the PGA Tour and majors have often just got that bit of scheduling wrong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I mean,
and there's an argument to be said to move the PGA after the Open, have the PGA in, like, rather than
go back to August. Go back to August. They need to figure something else out with the schedule. It doesn't really work the way it is. I think the PGA Championship needs to maintain flexibility and sort of have it at various times of the year. Maybe move it outside the country, like we've been talking about, Australia. Asia, like other places where you could potentially bring it just to sort of
do an abandoned dunes in August.
Yeah, I mean, look, as much as I love banded dunes, it's really hard to get there, so it would be very low attended.
True. I get that. Yeah. I get that. That is the issue. We've actually seen that and said that about who and I have spoken. I did that article for 2 of those Scottish papers on, and the question was: is Donald Trump good enough reason to not host the US Open? The Open. And I said, actually, like, above and beyond any of that. And I said, don't want to get drawn on politics. Let's put anything else aside. The world of golf has changed dramatically in both corporate and all the other areas of golf. We've discussed this, and we've had the maps up, or we talked about it on the podcast. Like, that, there's a lot to be done, and they are building. What was the figure? I talked about it on. I think it's like 2,500 holiday homes they're putting in and around that area to have the ability to take spectators and members and corporates and whatever else. They're building that. So like it will have it, but I don't believe that the infrastructure was there for Turnberry to hold the Open the last 10 years with the way the Open has grown.
Yeah, the way it's grown. Yeah, I mean, even Portrush seems like it's expanded since the last time, and that was only 6 years ago. So, and the Open really is British Open, aka Open Championship, has really become the largest championship in the entire world. Like, it really is, just in terms of attendance, because even the U.S. Open, like, they kind of have a smaller footprint at some of these venues. You usually get 30 to 40,000 per day, and I think Portrush is going to have like 60,000 a day. So I mean, it's big. It's really big. And I think
Portrush has got the infrastructure, as we've been through it. Like, outside of Portrush, anyone who's going to the Open this year, and we will do an episode on the Open, because we're going to be able to talk about it in some real detail, because obviously I played it this year. But if you've got your back. If you're playing the second hole, or you are playing up the first, the right-hand side the first, and you're facing the green on the second tee, behind you is a huge holiday home park. I think someone said to me it's nearly 600, 700 properties that have got the ability to. They're like most of them are 2.5, 3 bedroom, double bedrooms with twins. So all of a sudden there, you've got the ability to host sort of 3,500 people there. You've got the village, you've got the town of Portrush, the town of Port Stewart, all next to each other. They're going to be maxed out, but they've got that capacity. Turnberry doesn't have that.
Yeah,
Turnberry
sure.
doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's a smaller footprint for sure. You know, I've been to Turnberry like I've talked about a few times. 2016 it was right after Trump took ownership, and yeah, it was. I didn't knowing what I know now about infrastructure. Like, I see what the challenges are. Like, it's you're sort of bound by the coast. There's not a lot of ways in and out. There's just not a lot of properties.
It's one road.
Yeah.
It's one semi-dual carriageway, and then like one lane either side. Things will get better, and the secret to hosting at Turnberry is having the ability to have, and just north of the second course at Turnberry, which is what it's called now. My brain's gone blank. It's not Arthur's Seat. That's the place in Edinburgh. Anyway, wherever it is, just north of that, there's a big field where they're whacking in all these properties. So then you don't have to worry about people traveling as much, because you're gonna have 2.5, 4, 5, 6,000 people staying on site. So all of a sudden you're taking away some of that stress of bringing people in now. Should we say congratulations to someone in a second? Because what a win.
But yeah, JJ, yeah, we usually don't start with the people that win, and sometimes we kind of forget who wins because we want to focus on the live guys who almost won. It's the reason why I'm wearing this hat. But no, shout out JJ Spaun, native Californian. He's obviously been kind of a journeyman. Let's be honest, to professional golf. He's got a really interesting backstory. He actually he had aspirations of being a pro skateboarder of all things. So he's actually a pretty elite skateboarder, which he's kind of got the right frame for it. He's a Filipino heritage, which in California, you know, we have a pretty large Filipino American population. So grew up in Southern California. He grew up on Poa annua greens, which is a theme that I've been trying to lean into as much as possible at Oakmont. The composition of these green complexes, it really, 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 it gives the advantage to certain players. If you've grown up on Poa annua greens, or if you've played well on Poa annua greens, I think that translates into this. And that's exactly what we saw happen. You know, he made a 65-foot putt at the end with a little bit of help from Victor Hovland, but it was a great finish. The conditions were really, really challenging. That last day, he got really, really fortunate that they had the rain delay when they did, because he was not in a good spot.
Helped him regroup.
It really, really helped, because he was 5 over after 6 holes. He was really struggling. He got that little 90-minute break. He was able to talk to his coach. His coach kind of calmed him down. Just said, look, you need to just play freely. You need to not be so tight. And something clicked. And he wound up shooting 40 on the front 9, 32 on the back 9. I had him penciled in for a 76 because I just didn't think. I mean, it's hard to predict that you could have a rain delay that sort of stops play, but he was definitely trending towards 76 or worse. Except I was happy to see that he was able to figure it out. He was able to get it together. He played a really solid back 9. And congrats to JJ Spaun. You know, he almost won the Players Championship, beating Rory McIlroy in a playoff.
Yeah,
he came up a little bit short. Except, yeah, he's a worthy champion. And look, these U.S. Opens, these major champions, major championships, we don't always get a Bryson, we don't always get a Rory or a Scotty or one of those top guys winning. Like, sometimes you get like a Wyndham Clark, or you get a JJ Spaun, or you get a Gary Woodland. I mean, all these guys are very good players. I mean, they're guys that have won on the PGA Tour. They've won throughout the world, but you're not always going to get that elite champion. And I think JJ Spawn's a worthy champion. You know, he's had a solid career. He's had a few wins on the PGA Tour. So yeah, it's good.
Do you know why I'm really glad he won? There's two reasons. One, I think sometimes you can have luck in golf, and luck does rub either way. That when he hit the flag and it came back 63 yards, I felt like there's hitting the flag, and there's hitting the flag and it going 7 yards, 8 yards off the green, but it was 63 yards because it got the top of that slope and went down. And I really, really felt for him. And I'm glad he won, because I thought he played, I say wire to wire, borderline wire to wire winner, if you know what I mean. He was there the whole time.
He was a first round leader.
Yeah.
Low round of the tournament, 66. So yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like he came through the pack on the final day. He drifted back, came back. Obviously Burns was leading at one point, but it's, for me, it was, I'm glad he did that. And I think sometimes just the ability to stick around when you've had such bad luck like he had is a really, really impressive thing.
100%. Like, this was one of the things that I love most about this particular tournament was the fact that it was a mental examination, and we don't get nearly as much of that in men's professional golf that we need. I think that this was, I mean, we saw it the whole week. Like, this course was really driving people crazy. I mean, people were busting lockers, they were throwing clubs, they were throwing F-bombs. I mean, the whole nine.
I don't want to talk. So this might surprise listeners, right? I don't want to talk about the name of the person who busted the locker up. And there's a reason there's a reason I don't want to talk about it, Jay. Do I agree with it? No. But the changing room in sport is sacrosanct. Like, it is it's not right to do it, but I've seen it. I've seen people smash cricket bats. I've seen people smash tiles in showers. They've had to pick up the bill and they've had to apologize. But it never leaves that changing room of who's done it and what happened. Some of the stuff you've seen happen in changing rooms is bloody awful, but it's kind of, that's the one place you can go and do it, and you can do it in privacy, right or wrong, and it shouldn't be told. Whoever released that story about him doing that, I think that's just wrong. Like, again, when the Rory and the driver, I have no issue with the media reporting it. My issue with Rory's driver is whoever leaked that from the testing should be fired. Hands down. If someone that's what everyone's saying. The reporters didn't have. But... Well, no, does he say that? The media's job is to report it. That's fine. But it's not the job of anyone in testing to release that information. No one in testing should have said that. There's got to be some privacy on these things. If the rules were different and if anyone fails, it must be reported, then that's fair enough. But that isn't the rule. It needs to be
transparent for sure.
And I think it should be, but it wasn't. Yeah. And like the changing room incident, that like some things, while I don't agree with smashing it up, the locker room is that one place. Like, they've got press conferences. They're videoed from going from their locker room to their car. They're videoed from the locker room to the first tee. They're videoed from the first tee to the 18th green. Like, the only moment they get private is the scorer's hut and the locker room.
Yeah. That's true. I mean,
I'm not condoning it. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, I get what you're saying, but the thing is, it's not like there were cameras in there that actually caught this. It just saw there's photo in there capturing the aftermath of this thing. So, yeah.
And someone took that photo and said who it was, and I don't agree with that.
Well, yeah, and it's someone that's part of another podcast that will remain nameless that sort of has a reputation for doing stuff like this. But I don't condone it for sure. I don't like when people damage golf courses in general, and that includes things in the clubhouse and stuff like that. Yeah,
the amount of abuse I've got for criticizing Larry for smashing at the course, for Rory for smashing that tee, for Tyrrell Hatton when he smashed a tee. Like, I don't get. People say, "Oh, you didn't call out Tyrrell Hatton when he smashed a tee." Okay, right, fine. Repost old tweets, send it. Yes, I did. You did in the same way that I criticized Sergio for smashing the bunker up. Like, just don't do it.
The problem in this particular instance is the person that do it. I'm going to name names because that's what I do. Wyndham Clark, he not only did it this time at the U.S. Open, also at the PGA Championship that was just a month ago. He threw his driver. He broke a stanchion that was on a tee and nearly
just missed the steward.
One of the volunteers.
Yeah. So missed the steward by like 3-4 inches. I think someone said.
Yes, Wyndham Clark is going through some mental issues at the moment. He's talked about it on Full Swing. He's actually got a mental coach that sort of helps him through this. So, except he's obviously going through a bit of an existential crisis with his golf game.
Because turning down 60 million will do that for you.
Well, yeah, that's that'll be the unsaid thing that sort of happens, but Liv definitely dodged a bullet there, getting Tyrrell Hatton instead of Wyndham Clark for sure. So yeah, I think a lot of these guys, like, it just goes to the mental test of Oakmont. Like, I want a golf course that's going to break guys. Like, I really do, even though that makes me a little bit of a sadist. But like, when we get to this high level of professional golf in the major championships, it's not just about identifying the person that's playing best. It's about identifying the person that's thinking best, that is passing the mental test. And a lot of these guys flat out failed the mental test that Oakmont presented. And I thought that was great. I really do. So even though some of the guys that I wanted to win and do well, they also failed the test. But yeah, like it was still a great tournament. It was still, I think Oakmont as a course is probably the hardest course probably in all of major championship golf at this point. It would have played much harder if it was firmer and faster with that rough and sort of firmer greens, and they got a ton of rain, so it kind of slowed the course down a little bit.
I actually saw a really interesting comment where someone said, it would have been harder if it was windy, and a couple of players said no, it wouldn't have. They said if it was windy, had the ability to, if the wind's into our face, to fly one up in the air, knowing the wind, that it would have really helped with some of the shots out the rough. They were saying actually the wind would have helped us in some ways. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe, who knows? But I tell you what I am hoping for. I'm hoping for a 1.5 club wind all day, every day at the Open. Portrush, all day, every day. one of my mates rang me this morning and said, I'm going to Portrush, got tickets for Saturday and Sunday. What do you recommend? I went, stand next to the 16th green
16th.
and just watch people mentally crumble. Watch caddies and players have 10 or 15 minutes worth of conversations of which club they're going to hit. Yeah. It's going to be brilliant. I said, if it's still, it's just a par 3 to them. I said, but if the wind's off into and off the left, then you're going to have so much fun.
If they don't have featured hole coverage of the 16th hole at Portrush, like, what are we even doing? So they need to do 16, and they probably need to do, what is that 4, the par 4 that sort of goes out towards the water. It might be a 5, I can't remember, but very just visually appealing. It's kind of a risk reward hole.
Par 4. You're talking about par 4 that goes slightly uphill, bunkers left and bunker forward right. Or you talking about the one that's the dog leg left to right up to the water?
Yeah, the one that basically has the green that it looks kind of like an infinity green, and it kind of has out of bounds.
So that's 5. That's 5.
That's 5.
You tee off about 60 foot, 70 foot above the fairway, and you've got two choices. You can either hit it to 225, 230 to a fairly wide bit of fairway, leaving yourself 80 to 95 in, depending on where the tee and the flag are, or you can just rip one with a driver at the green if the wind isn't into, and these guys don't miss hit many, but you have got to carry 250 of scrubland shit.
Yeah. I remember Brooks playing that hole.
They're all going to do the carry, but if you do slightly top one or don't get it quite right, and if the ball starts to go a bit left to right in the air, it makes that carry from 250 to 260 to 270. But yeah, that's going to be a great hole. The one I think is another thing will be really interesting and probably not on many people's radar is going to be 8. 8's a vile par 4, but we're not going to do the Open show and preview now. We're not going to do it. We're going to get into it, otherwise I get so excited.
No, I'm more excited about.
Spaun.
Yeah. No, I might be more excited about Portrush. That might be the major that I'm most excited about this year. So, yeah, we're gonna do a whole deep dive into it. Talk about your experience there at a later show. I'll talk a little bit about 2019 because I thought that was just a really great test, even though it kind of at the end it didn't really turn out to be that thrilling of a championship. I think some of the changes that they made are going to change that, and hopefully we get a little bit more conditions that make it a little bit more challenging. So we will save that for another day, though. We'll go back to the Open. Yeah.
2019 I was playing golf at that point, but my consumption of golf and watching golf tournaments inside and out was lower due to still playing cricket. So I remember 2019. and I remember watching it. And I've actually got a photo of Annabelle actually I probably have it on my phone somewhere, of her holding a golf club and an orange golf ball, watching Shane Lowry, and like literally one of the earliest photos I've got of Annabelle doing that, which is actually really sweet. I don't know if I should have it somewhere. I'll find it while we're chatting.
Yeah, no,
but it's going to be a great event. And on the topic of 2025 Open, did Carlos get Open status because of the top 4 finish, or has he not got Open status yet? Someone asked me that question online yesterday, and I was like, I'll ask Jay when we speak.
Yeah, he was already in. So he was already into the British Open, aka Open Championship, because of his International Series Macau win back in March. So the top 3 in that particular event, they got in to Portrush. So Carlos Ortiz finished first, Patrick Reed finished second, and that's amazing photo.
That's her watching Shane Lowry.
Yeah, 6 years ago. That's crazy. Yeah, she's grown up a lot since then, obviously. That's really funny.
She's so pretty. I know I'm biased. So he'd already got the International Series, of course. Yeah. So
and then Jason Kokrak was third.
Yeah. And so it was Reed, Kokrak, and Ortiz, and then Sergio has got currently got the status on Live, hasn't he? With that one, with that paltry 1 position that drops down.
However, actually, it's funny because in our Twitter Spaces that we had a couple days ago, Lucas Herbert's caddy Nick Pugh came in and talked about Lucas Herbert's schedule the next couple weeks, because so Lucas Herbert's 5th in the Live standings, Sergio is 4th. The top 3 are already in qualifications. Rahm and Bryson and Waco, they're already in the championship. So it's basically the next spot after that. Sergio currently has it. There's one more event that they have to play here in the United States, in Dallas. And whoever is highest up in the standings at that point, they're the ones that get the Open qualification. Now, there's some other players that are kind of jockeying for it too. It's all
going to be sorted before Valderrama, right?
Yes. So it's all going to be sorted after. So basically, the way it happens is we got Dallas. It's in a week. As soon as that's over, like 2 days after that is when they have all of the Open or qualifiers in the UK. So all the players that don't get into the Open have to fly over there and play in that qualifier, including someone like Lucas Herbert, who is, I think he has a huge advantage playing West Lancs because his caddy's actually from that area. So I think you might have an advantage there. And I want to see Lucas Herbert get into Portrush because I think he has a great chance of contending too. So
is it 3 spaces or 4? How many spaces come from Burnham and Barrow? Because last year, was it Surratt? It was Lahiri. Did Annabelle Lahiri lose in a playoff in Burnham and Barrow?
I think so. That sounds right. I don't think they know the amount of spots until the day of. I feel like I think a lot of times you don't really know because like certain players drop out, certain players get in, and then it sort of changes the rankings and all that. But it seems like final qualifying is Tuesday, July 1st.
It would be 4 spaces. 4 spaces for the Open. Guaranteed it. As you say,
it might be.
There's a potential for there to be a 5th, but the extra spaces get shared round. So there's obviously 5 or 6 qualifying events. So it's not a case of Burnham's going to have 4, maybe have 6. For Burnham to have 6, that'd have to be everyone would have to get an extra 1. But Burnham's got 4 spaces. Again, I've said it before. I'd love to see. Everyone's going to be at Valderrama and JCB. They're going to be in the UK and Europe for that period of time. Get over a week early. Get to Burnham and Barrow. Getting qualified through there, or wherever it might be.
Yeah.
I only say
Well, yeah,
Burnham
so
because
there's four.
I've played it, and I know it. That's the only reason I say that.
Yeah. No, I wanna fact check myself. So there's 4 final qualifying locations for our Portrush. There's Burnham and Barrow. There's Dundonald Links that I've actually played. There's West Lancs that
West
we
Lancs,
talked about, and then Royal Cinque Ports, which
Royal
is the
Cinque
other one.
Ports,
So
yeah.
yeah. So and all those are
Which
great
I
courses.
wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if Poltz tried to qualify for the Open at Royal Cinque Ports. And the only reason I say that is on his IG yesterday, he was playing there.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's some
he was
inside
playing there. So, well, it's not that inside. He's got
it's public,
1.5
but
million.
yeah. But
He's got 1.5 million followers. He's hardly texting me to let me know, right?
But a lot of people aren't putting 2 to 2 together about that. So, but no, yeah, I think the RNA really, I think they do it right when it comes to the qualifying. Like they don't save it all for this sort of final qualifying. Like you have other ways. There's other tournaments to get into the top 3, so you qualify just like the International Series Macau, so that live guys have a little bit of a better shot to get in. I want to see the U.S. Open and the USGA adopt some of that, because I think they have way too many spots reserved for that sort of final qualifying, and there's just too much randomness at these qualifyings, at these 36 hole qualifiers that you have to play in one day. It favors the younger players. It doesn't favor the older players. Like you have to play, you have to be in really good shape to do that, and it's like completely different than competing in a 54 to 72 hole tournament. So that's over 3 to 4 days rather than 36 holes in one day. So I just think there's a lot of randomness there. I'd like to see them probably change it. The USGA, I mean, I like the open nature of these, so that like basically anybody can get in. But I think the amount of spots, I think the RNA does it right. I think the USGA needs to tweak it. So we were supposed to stop talking about the Portrush, but we keep talking about it, so we can move on.
We're talking about the Open qualifying, which is very relevant because it's going to be open over the next few weeks for sure. People are making that decision, and I'm looking at the live standings, and depending on some automatic qualification stuff with Sergio and Lucas Herbert. But I'm not calling anyone out. I'm obviously not calling people out. But would I like to see if Sergio and Lucas don't get in, they go to qualifying, Munoz got a qualifying, Leash got a qualifying, Dean got a qualifying, Hannibal got a qualifying, Morant got a qualifying. Same thing for Peters, for Gooch, for Answer, for Blandy. I know Blandy's got automatic, I think, because of the senior majors, but maybe he hasn't. Charles Howell,
he's not in. He's not in.
He's not in. I can't see a world in which GMAC doesn't try and qualify. I can't see a world in which he doesn't try and qualify. It's like it's basically a home course for him. He won the it was either the world. We won the Amateur Open. He won the Amateur Open there in like 97 or 96, and I think still holds a tied course record with Lowry, who tied the course record in the Open. So there's a lot of players there that, like, if you are Ben Campbell, Paul Casey, Tringale, Keimer, Wolf, Surratt, Horsfield, Uline, Jinky Kazuma, why wouldn't you just try and qualify? Why wouldn't you just do it?
Well,
like fill those spaces. Like if you've got 16 spaces, mate. Like, hear me out. You've got 16 spaces. Get 8 of you in every single event that aren't there, and law of averages with having so many good players there. If there's 4 spaces at every event and you put in 8, you've got to think you get 2.5, 3 of them per event.
These guys are at a huge disadvantage, though, because they're literally playing Sunday night in the United States, and they have to so they're getting no practice rounds at all. They have to go straight from Dallas to whatever qualifying they have within like basically 36 hours. And that's a tough sled.
I'm not having it. Jerry Foltz turned up to play with us. He turned up for a 10 o'clock tee time at 9:58 and shot 1 over. And Jerry's a 65-year-old former pro. Like these guys can shoot 2 under and get themselves into qualifying. It's not going to be a score of 7-8 unders going to be the winning score.
Sometimes it is though. Sometimes these qualifiers are very, very difficult to get in. Like I remember last year, some of them were much lower than that. Some of them were like 700-800 under to get in. So it's like and you're playing against guys that have the advantage of being on site and playing practice rounds. And some of these guys are like European Tour players and like Challenge Tour players and all those guys. It's probably gonna be some PGA Tour players over there too. So there's just like a lot of variables there, and like you want to have as much advantage as possible. It's why, again, I want them to have other qualifiers throughout the year where these guys are a little bit better prepared to get in, just like they were at the International Series Macau. So, and there's like other European Tour events where they have the same thing, other PGA Tour events too, where the top 3 not already qualified get in. All that stuff is really, really, really important. And I just think that that's the way to do it in the future. And I just hope the USGA figures it out, because it's just trying to cram too many people in one day is just, it's a huge logistical challenge, especially if you have a golf tournament half a world away that finishes up like a day and a half before.
I think the most valid point you actually make on all this, having looked at it, is they finish in Dallas at 6 o'clock on the Sunday the 29th, and the tee time, the first tee time is 7 o'clock on July the 1st, the Tuesday. So you've got to fly against the clock, have 8 hours sleep. They're going to travel first class. I'm not going to cry for them. They're going to travel. They've got to get to a hotel, get off the plane, and get and play. That's a tough ask. That isn't especially easy. But hey,
Lucas Herbert's caddy Nick was telling me, like, I mean, his schedule is going to be really tough. Like he's got to fly into Heathrow. He's got to get up to Manchester. Like he's going to drive to the course, and like hopefully Monday there's no delay, because if you get a delay, all of a sudden a flight delay, you get totally hosed. So he has to get up there and try to get some information about the course and all that prior to the Tuesday round. So it's just a really tight.
Is Herb's doing West Lancs, is he, as well?
Yeah, he's doing West Lancs. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. See how it plays out. I think these guys are at a huge disadvantage, and like I hope as many of them get in as possible already. Obviously, although I do have to say, we already have basically like 17, 18 players already in. So, which is the most out of any of the other majors already prior to qualifying. So I think that's a good sign. Because like Patrick Reed's in, Tom McKibben's in from his place on the European Tour last year. And then you got past champions like Louis and Henrik, and then you have Leishman got in through the qualifying series as well in Australia. So he was another beneficiary of the qualifying series that I was talking about. And then obviously Carlos Ortiz and Kokrak got in from the qualifying series as well.
Right. Well, that's good. I think we've done that. And let's move on to, I feel we talk about the world of golf a lot, but before we talk about anything else, if you want to get
I want to do a quick live corner from the U.S. Open, because we haven't talked about that just yet.
I just want to get an ad read in.
Oh, okay.
I want people to go and buy rangefinders so we can make some money. Yeah?
Fair point.
What's your problem?
Continue.
Yeah? All right. If you would like to get a rangefinder or a GPS or some device that measures where your shots are gone on your shot tracking data, go to shotscope.com and enter the code GolfLover at checkout. That's shotscope.com, GolfLover at checkout for 15% off. And as Jay always says, it'll be in the notes below. We also don't say to people, look, please do like and share what we do. If we bring you any enjoyment at all, even if you hate watch us, and you're part of like some of those groups that dislike us, still share it with those people so they can hate watch too.
It's a lot less haters out there now, even than they were just a couple of weeks ago, which is really interesting. No, the link is in the description. Code is in
there's a good reason for that. The PGA Tour has now got a new leader in place who's good mates with Scott O'Neill. Like,
yeah.
All right, we'll talk about that later. But we'll
save that to the back end. Say that to the back.
Yeah, if
But
people
yeah,
haven't picked up on that yet, they really are simple.
yeah, for sure.
They're good friends. They're good friends and went to Harvard together.
Yeah, they've known each other for like 20 plus years. So yeah, let's reverse. Let's get back to the U.S. Open, close it out, tie a bow around it. So a couple of players I want to shout out for their great performances in the U.S. Open. Obviously, JJ Spaun won. Except we had two other live players, two live players that were in contention. Really three. There was for a while there. John Rahm was like, he was in the clubhouse at 4 over. People didn't really know what the weather was going to be. Those last 9 holes, guys kept falling down the leaderboard. It's like, oh, John, you should probably stick around just to make sure. But Bob McIntyre got in the clubhouse at +1, so that kind of ruled them out. However, want to shout out John Rahm. He was my pick to win this particular event. Unfortunately, he had a great first round, great final round, 69, 67. Those middle 2 rounds, just a couple things that he needed to clean up. He shot, 75, 73 Friday, Saturday. So that kind of like took him a little bit too far away. Except he's playing great. It's just that he lost a few shots on the putting green, just in terms of I think his speed on the greens was just not really matching up the line. And he was doing his typical Rahm stuff. He was yelling. He was dropping F-bombs. It was great TV, great box office. Love that. Tyrrell Hatton though. Tyrrell Hatton was like, when we hit that back 9, he was my pick to win.
That bounce on 17.
Oh, there was like a sequence of events that happened.
It's made less painful by the fact that JJ did sink that 64 footer. Like if he hadn't sunk the 64 footer, that bounce on 17, and I'm not. Tyrrell's mentally strong. It's the type of thing that would haunt a lesser man.
Yeah, for sure. So, he'll be fine. I'm not worried about Tyrrell at all. He has a very short memory. There was just a sequence of events that sort of happened there. 16, 17, 18, that just like, if one thing just flipped, I think we would have seen him get to like 1 under par. Like, he hits a great tee shot on 16 with par 3, hits it to 10 feet. He's got a great look to make birdie there. He just burns the edge and he didn't quite get it, so he made a par, but that's one shot right there. 17, you already talked about just getting in the one position that you couldn't get in, like short of that bunker on that downslope in that deep rough, that's some of the deepest rough on the entire course. You're just not going to get up and down. Like I saw Phil in that same spot on day 2 trying to make the cut. He made double from that spot. So, and Phil's got one of the great short games of all time. So he got put in a really tough spot. If he goes literally 10 yards left, 10 yards right, if he gets in that bunker, which is where he wanted to hit it, he gets up and down most of the time, he makes birdie instead of bogey. That's a 2-shot swing, and we're already talking 3 shots. And then if he makes par on 18, that gets him the 1 under par. We're probably looking at a playoff the next day. So there's these like little margins in these major championships that are just like really, really thin. Like it can go either way, and it comes down to either executing or not. Unfortunately, Tyrrell, he executed the entire week really, and it just came down to the end, and he just got a bad bounce. He missed a putt by a very small margin, and that was the difference. So shout out to him though. Shout out to Carlos Ortiz as well. Carlos Ortiz and Tyrrell Hatton, their best finishes in majors ever. Carlos Ortiz played great the entire week. His ball striking was on another level. His putting wasn't great, and he just had a couple little mishaps on the back nine. Really one where he made a double bogey. I kind of took him out of it, but got to shout him out for the 4th place finish, T4th. That basically gets him into all of the majors next year, which is really, really great. And because these guys that are like, people forget about how good guys like Carlos Ortiz are. Like Carlos Ortiz has won around the world. He's won on the PGA Tour. He's won on the Asian Tour. He's won on Live. It's a very short list of players that have done that. So, and he's 7th in the live standings. He's 28 in data golf. Like he is a quality player that people totally forget about. So,
can I
shout
just
out
do
to
a
him.
very quick who
Of course.
didn't make the cut? Now, the reason I want to say this is I actually think if we did career earnings or the how high they are up in OWGR or whatever rankings you want to use, this must be the best quality of missed cut field in the history of major golf. Like you look at that list, you look at it, you've got Oberg, Fleetwood, DeChambeau, Clark, Lowry, Rose, Batia, Cantlay, Mickelson, Smith. If I say Blandy, some people. I said Bryson. I said DeChambeau.
Okay. Oh yeah.
There were
DJ
just some names. DJ Waka. They're just some names. It's just like, oh my god, that person missed a step. Straka, DJ, Corey Connors had to withdraw. Wacko Neiman. Like you can just go down the list. It's just endless great golfers that missed the cut. Like it just shows how brutal it was. But there we are. That's it. And as, your point, I know what you'll say about Puana Greens and all of that, and people need to calm down hype and calm down excitement. So I got a question for you about the US Open very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether we're going to be completely the same or opposing views in this. So if we are the same, that's nice. If we're opposing views, then let's argue it. I'm going to say a statement. Sam Burns, it was unfortunate he didn't get relief for him, but he shouldn't have got relief. Because under the letter of the law, the casual water wasn't at his feet, and the rule is casual water, and they asked him to take his stance twice, and there was no casual water. Now his stance, unfortunately, if he'd stood next to the ball, he would have probably got relief, but it has to be in your stance, which is a ridiculous rule. I'm not saying the rule is correct. Right. I'm saying that the rule was applied correctly, and therefore I think Sam Burns and his caddy should have pulled him off that and gone, right, you had your second ruling, let's regroup, let's think about this again. Not, oh, you're pissed off, go and hit it. Thoughts?
Yeah, this kind of goes into the rules of golf and all that, and there's definitely a few rules that I think need to be tweaked. However, the thing that I always go back to is that if you have rules officials there on site and they're making rulings and you get multiple officials that say the same, like I'm totally fine with it at that point. Like it's just like if you have an NFL game or NBA game and like you have officials there, like you're not going to necessarily agree with every call, but it's like it just kind of is what it is at that point, and you have to rebound, you have to respond, and it's honestly to me part of the mental test. Sam Burns, if he wasn't going to get relief from that spot, he needed to change his approach on that shot. He did not do that, and he tried to hit the hero shot. It came off left. He wound up making double bogey because of it. Like that's part of the mental test of the U.S. Open, and like you put yourself in these tough spots, even though he was in the fairway, so it's not like he was in a really tough spot. But like you just have to play for it. You have to take all the variables into consideration. Maybe play up short of the green or play short of the trouble so that at worst you're going to make a bogey. Maybe you have to play 10 yards short of the green, chip up, and you get out of there with a par. Like that's you can't go at flags when like you're in a spot like that. You just can't. So I think that was part of the mental examination to me. I don't have any problem with it. I think we talk way too much about these very minute rules in golf. I'm all about playing it as it lies. Like I would be totally fine if we got to the point in golf. I'm all about simplifying the rules because some of these rules are just so we spend way too much time on rules. It's like play it as it lies. I don't care if it's in a puddle. I don't care if it's unfair in a divot. If there's a temporary movable obstruction in your line, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Play it as it lies. I think that would just simplify it, and that's not exactly fair. But it's like, we need to simplify these rules, and to me, that's a very, very easy way to get rid of half of the rules in golf and make it just easier. It's going to speed up play because you're not going to be waiting for rulings. You're just like, well, I just got to play it. I got to play it at Eliza. I got to play it off this cart path. I got to play it. I got to play it off this guy's foot. Like, I mean, you just got to play it as it lies. Like, it's just going to speed things up. We're always talking about slow playing golf. That would be a very easy way to speed it up. Yes, it can be a little bit unfair, but life is unfair. Golf is unfair anyway. So I think that's what I'd like to see. I didn't have any problem with the ruling. Two officials stepped in. They told him he didn't like it. It obviously got in his head, and he shot 78. So it totally took him mentally out of the tournament, which is part of the examination of the U.S. Open, like I said.
So we agree in ways, and the overall is that maybe some rules need to be looked at. Right.
Yeah.
For the listeners, we got a new segment for the listeners that they don't know about. And Jay, I just tell all of you listeners, right? He's so pissed off about this because he's not gonna know the answers. So the regulars know
I
my
might
father
delete
passed
this
away
from
last
the
year.
podcast. We'll see.
It's not, mate. I'm not. I'm going to record it on my mobile phone. It's good fun. So it's a quiz for the listeners and for Jay to all play. So my father passed away. He found this in one of his bits and bobs the other week, and it's from 1959, and it's a quiz book. For those not on YouTube, it's a TV quiz book, 1,500 entertaining, instructive questions with answers on 60 different subjects. It was published in 1959. Some of the subjects include the British Commonwealth, the USA, capital cities, churches, foreign words and phrases, wit and humour, the sea, things like that. But there is a 25-page question set on golf. So each episode for the next however many weeks, I'm going to be giving Jay 3 questions from here, and you all get a chance to play along. Now, I don't expect any of you to get more than maybe 3 out of 25 or 4 out of 25. There is a question here, which will be our leader, because let's get Jay off to a negative start, where he has to know the name of a town in Wales he'll have never have heard of. So this is to give you, it's good fun. Okay, so Jay, where is the championship golf course of the Royal St David's Club in Wales? Name the town. If you do know this, I'm going to be absolutely livid if you actually know the answer to this.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm also thinking through context clues, like St David's, like you obviously have St Andrews is in the town of St Andrews. So I'll go with St David's. I don't even know if that's a town in Wales, but I think that's a pretty good guess. So
it's a good guess. The answer is Harlech. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
Next
never
question.
been to Wales.
Next question.
If we have any Welsh listeners, I apologize. I have no desire to really go to Wales either. I guess there's a couple of good golf courses there potentially, but
yeah. Maybe we'll play Porthcawl when you come. Anyway,
Porthcawl.
Next question. Which golf club? You should get this one. Which golf club is accepted as the ruling authority on the game?
St Andrews, obviously. Royal and Ancient Golf Club. Yeah, Royal and Ancient Club is St Andrews. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep. You can have that. That's correct. You were one out of 2. How many clubs make up traditionally a set of irons?
Traditionally? In 1959?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's interesting. So, I mean, 1959, I'm guessing everybody had a 3-iron at that point for sure. So it's probably, and we're not counting wedges, I'm guessing, even though, I probably go 3 through 9. So I'm guessing that is a set of 7 clubs.
No, because it was traditionally 1 through 9, Jay.
Oh my God.
In 1959, listeners, in 1959, your traditional set started with a 1-iron. Let's put that down as an incredible. But that's why I love this quiz, because it's great fun. That's so
crazy.
Funny.
Like amateurs, there's no, I don't care what it is. There's no amateurs out there that should be playing a 1 or a 2-iron or even a 3.
Or a 3.
So, no,
I haven't carried a 4-iron for 5 years.
Yeah. I've still got a 4. I mean, I have a 2-iron too, but that's only for like.
I actually did read, and it was the PGA Championship. I think they said it was the first time that fewer than 50% of the bags had a 4-iron in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, because they're putting in 9 woods and putting in 7 woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time in major championship that the fewer than 50% people had a 4-iron.
Yeah, because even I've got a utility wood. It's a Callaway UW. Shout out Callaway. It's 20 degrees. It's kind of in between a 5 and a 7 wood. It's yeah. I'm still gonna try the ping woods too, obviously, but really want to try that driver, that 440 driver, because I think that's probably going to be the next club in my bag that gets switched out. I've already decided on a lab putter. A lot of people know that I've been sort of figuring out my whole putting stuff. I'm the lab putters. They don't work for everyone. They're working for me for sure. Just with my stance and being a little bit more upright.
Again, interesting what I saw on the internet yesterday. It was a guy called Sinking Putts. He's on Instagram. He sells gear and like he's Club Pro, whatever type of thing. And he had putter orders. And last week they had 16 lab putters and 1 Scotty.
JJ Spaun just won the first major championship with a lab putter too. That I'm sure is going to increase their sales too. Yeah. Luckily, I already got my order in prior to JJ Spaun winning, but so we'll see. But no, I mean, look, there's a lot of good putters out there. I think the thing people need to the thing I never did for a long time was going to get fit for a putter. Like that's like, it's so critical, even if it isn't lab, even if it's Ping or Scotty Cameron or Odyssey, whatever it is. I think you need to get fit because you need to know what your stroke is. You need to know kind of the weighting, like, are you consistent with your strike? Are you consistent with your line? Are there things that you can do to make yourself more consistent? Fitting is like such an important part of the process, and people don't think about putter fittings at all. It's all about, oh, I like the look of that putter, I'm going to use it. It's like, that might be the worst putter for you. So I definitely suggest that everybody goes to get fit for a putter. And I will say, just going for my short game fitting.
There's so many variables. There's so many variables of putter, like toe hang, little bit of toe hang, blade, mallet, half blade, rounded. Have you got your perimeter weighting on the edges? Have you got it coming through the middle? Like, there's so many variations of putter. Shaft, center shafted, mid shaft, heel shaft. Like, you got so many options on there. Yeah. What degree of loft have you got on a putter? Like, actually, that too. in many ways, there's probably because most outside of heads on a drive, we do different manufacturers. Inside of a manufacturer, you've got 3 heads on most drivers. You look at Ping, you've got the 440 Max, you've got the low spin, then you've got the SF Tech, which is the one to stop the straight flight technology. Yeah, so they got 3 heads. You look at Ping putters, well, you've got the PLD range, which has got the milling. You've got 2 other ranges with different types of face, and one of them's got inserts, one's got the spongier one, and then you've got 3 or 4 different head shapes in each one. So already you've got like 15, 16 head. So like, I think actually people really do overlook putter fitting and how putter fitting must work.
Yeah.
So right,
it's overwhelming.
Let's draw this to a close by talking about. And I don't want to do Rory. We've done him to death. What I want to say a personal plea to. I want to say a personal plea to Rory because he listens. Here's everything. There's no way that comment was made to me and someone hadn't told him what we said or he'd listened. Anyway, there we are. So I feel for anyone that's going through tough times in life. There is nothing wrong at all with him playing the Travellers this weekend and going, do you know what? I'm going to take a break until the Scottish Open. And I'm just going to go and play some golf and chill out with the family and do whatever I got to do. And just, like, if you're not enjoying it,
that's what he needed to do.
Just take a break. And no one's going to judge you for it. Say, look, I need some time off. I won the Masters. My head's not on it. I need to go and practice. I need to go over to Ireland. I'm going to go and play Portrush 5 times. I'm going to go and chill out. Just go and do it. Just go and do it.
There's no point to him playing the rest of the PGA Tour season. There just isn't. And I posted this on Twitter last week when he was having this little spat with the media, and it's like, this is just, it's so clear to me what he needs to do. Like, he just needs to take the rest. He shouldn't be at the Travelers this week. There's no point to it. Like, I think he'll probably play okay, but because he had a great finish to the U.S. Open, and he kind of stopped caring that last round and shot the round of the day, 67, tied with Rahm. So yeah, I think Scottish Open, play Portrush, play Irish Open, play Wentworth. That basically needs to be the rest of the schedule the rest of the year. Like, there's no point to him playing any more PGA Tour events, even though let's be honest, the PGA Tour season, the Travelers is the last signature event for the entire year. They obviously have their playoffs coming up in a couple months, but he doesn't really need to play in that if he didn't want to. So, or he could take the first two off and just play the Tour Championship, because there is a very large cash prize. Not that he needs any more cash, but especially considering some of the stuff happening in the background where he's going to be flush full of cash for a while. Except I think some of these other championships are more important to him. Obviously, the Irish Open is very, very close to him. The Wentworth, BMW, PGA is the flagship event of the European Tour. He loves that particular event as well. All the European Ryder Cup players need to be playing in that to get ready for the Ryder Cup, which is going to be in short order after that. So, and he's obviously gonna play the Ryder Cup too. But yeah, like there's no point to him playing the rest of the PGA Tour season. He's got to figure some stuff out, figure out his business interests, his family stuff, his mental game, his mentals, and that's it. That's the only thing he needs to focus on the rest of the year. That was my advice to him. It got a lot of traction on Twitter, so there's always a chance that he saw that too. But I mean, it's very obvious to me, and a lot of Rory fans and sort of a lot of my haters completely agree with that comment. So that goes to show you there's probably something to it.
And it's just, if you're, whether you're a dad or not, it doesn't matter. If you're a man, woman, whoever you are, and you're struggling and stuff's a bit much, like, if you have the opportunity to step away, just step away. Like, no one's going to judge you. Like, he's not down the mines, or he's not on the battlefield fighting. Just go and have a break. Have a few weeks off.
He probably feels like he has the last 3 years though, because he's been put in impossible positions, and like, we were some of the people that told him it was not worth it. It was not the way to go. Like, he needs to be one of those people bringing golf together instead of dividing it. Instead of being the most polarizing figure in golf, that he's been a top 3 most polarizing person in the last few years. Like, it wasn't worth it, and he'd probably be the first to say that it wasn't worth it. So, and he doesn't owe the PGA Tour anything. Not now. No, especially with the new leadership coming in too.
Right. Let's talk about then. We can't do 20 minutes on it because we're going to do a deep dive probably in the next couple of weeks. But you and I have both talked about there's 3 or 4 options of world golf. Everyone comes back together. I still don't think that's on the table. Option 2 is that option 4. We'll go 1 to 4. Option 4, which is the more later one, which is Rory goes and he's the face of the DP World Tour, has a DP World Tour type schedule, has his global thing going on as well, where live players can play on it, and he plays in maybe 5 or 6 PGA Tour events a year that he wants to go and play in. He's previously won. He's got an exemption for. Doesn't need to have a tour card, because as long as he's not banned from the tour, you can play with your exemption. So he could play 5-6 events in the PGA Tour, play 4 majors, play 7 or 8 events on the DP World Tour. Lovely stuff. Whatever he wants to do. There's that. And then with that, for the future golf, comes some of the live players going and playing in them, some of those elevated DP World Tour events, whatever that might be. That was option 4. Option 2, which was a DP World Tour gets bought by live, and live do that, or live just pile a load of money back into live and try and get a load more players in. And then option 3 was one we had, which was, I know was kind of your favorite, which was like an open harmony. They're not playing all together, but there is like a Super Bowl of golf where once a year or twice a year, the top 12 or the top because you've got two options now. Because when you first mentioned it, we didn't have TGL, but now we do. So you could have one event where it's the top 4 teams on TGL versus the top 4 teams on Live, and then another event where it's the top 24 players on Live, the top 24 players on the PGA Tour. And I think with the addition of Mr. Rolapp coming in to the PGA Tour, I think you are going to find much more in the way of harmony than you are going to have acrimony.
Completely agree. And it's something that has got me very excited about the future of golf. And it's something that, we've been talking about it for as long as we've been doing this podcast. I wrote a piece about it was literally titled The Super Bowl of Golf over 2 years ago. It was the beginning of 2023, where basically what I wanted, because we don't get enough match play in golf. Obviously, we talk about this all the time. Like having one huge match play single elimination event with all the top, let's say either 16 to 24 players. When I broke it down, I was like, you could probably stretch it out to like 24 players that are like these signature players in golf, the ones that drive interest, that everybody wants to see around the world globally. That's the way to go. And I think that being your Super Bowl, like having a final match with Rory against Patrick Reed, Rory against Cam Smith, Bryson against Scotty Scheffler, like that's box office to me. Like that's like the problem that was always the problem that I had with the WGC match play was they had too many players. They had 64. There was a lot of randomness to it. They did not want like the 63rd player playing the 64th player in the final. They didn't want that. If you cut that down to the top 16 to 24, you are guaranteed to have a great final. There's no bad finals. So that's what I felt like was like the solution to kind of having the Super Bowl, like this huge end of year event that involve all the top players. That being said, I also think now that we have new leadership in, I think that the PGA Tour and they have somebody in that understands the business of sport a lot more, and they're all about a culture of innovation. Like I talk about this culture of innovation on Live all the time. If you listen to the podcast, you've heard me say it a bunch. You've seen me tweet about it too. I think that these are really, really important things, important concepts that the PGA Tour is now going to have. SSG is finally, this is their hand-picked candidate. Make no mistake about it. SSG, particularly Arthur Blank, led the search for the new PGA Tour CEO. There were really three candidates out there. I think Brian Rolapp was the right choice, more than guys that had more golf experience I was worried about.
And those that don't know who Brian Rolapp is, very quickly, he was number 2 essentially in the NFL. He was very, very widely respected and expected to be Roger Goodell's replacement. He understands innovation, he understands monetization, he understands sports. He actually comes from a background where everyone gets a contract, everyone gets guaranteed money, everyone plays in teams, and franchises matter. Ooh.
Interesting.
Anyway, but more interesting than that is obviously Brian would tweeted in the past about being a friend with Scott, reading his book. They both went to Harvard together, not in the same year, but they're both Harvard alumni. They've worked together and crossed over from Scott's days when Scott was running franchises in the American sports teams, and they've worked together. And they're both the same. They're both the same Mormon faith, so they're actually both they are close and they do get on. So I actually think that if you're thinking, if you're one of those people going, oh, Liv won't be here in 2 years' time. Well, you said that 4 years ago, so you probably slow your roll. It's getting a bit boring now. You can't
just block those guys immediately now.
You can't keep saying Liv won't be here in 2 years' time every year and adding 2 years on, because eventually you'll be right because the world will end. Like at some point, like you're going to be correct. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like at some point, like after 110 years, right? And Liv then folded. Do they go, yeah, see, told you.
I was right. I was right the whole time.
Morons.
Oh my God. They don't realize how clannish they actually are. And it's just like, it's provided me a lot of joy and sort of comedy the last few years, just because I knew how wrong they actually were. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think that I haven't been this. I was actually talking to Red Harrington a couple days ago, and he was like, I haven't heard you be this positive about the PGA Tour, like maybe ever. And I was like, yeah, because this is like, I know how in the world of business, whenever you bring in a new CEO,
people have to remember you love the PGA Tour. People have got to remember this. You were a PGA Tour stan for 15 years. You loved
more
it.
than
Like
that. Since the 90s, since Tiger came on the scene. Yeah.
It's a bit like people talk about Rogan, like Rogan's now Republican. Like if you lost your biggest Democrat, like Rogan was the biggest Bernie Sanders fan. And he said Barry Sanders, very different human being. Bernie Sanders and Barry Sanders are two different men. He had Sanders on the show and he absolutely loved him. Like he was like champion Democrat. Like if you managed to lose Pro Golf Critic as a fan of your product when he was your absolute fanboy, you need to understand you're not doing the right thing.
They drove me away. There's no question about it. Like they were through their inept leadership and just some of their incompetent actions that they've done over the last 5 years. They just ran me off. And that's fine. Like, look, I understood the dynamics of it. I understood the things going on behind the scenes. I was always hopeful that like you bring in new leadership. It's a domino effect. It happens with every business. You bring in a new leader. It's like eventually everybody underneath them in that senior leadership team, they come under scrutiny. Some of them are going to stay. Some of them are going to go. Through this process is where the culture actually changes at any company. So this was the first step. I was hoping, and I had sort of tweeted this was going to happen like a month ago. They had sort of vetted all the candidates that were down to a handful. I was hoping that they were going to announce it sooner than later. It started to get leaked last week because Adam Schefter posted it. There was this huge thing at the NFL where they announced that Brian Rolapp was leaving to go to the PGA Tour. It got out. They had to get out in front of it. Here we are. So I'm glad that this is happening now. Jay Monez is obviously going to allegedly going to stay on for another 18 months through the end of his contract. I think he's going to be like a ghost after the FedEx Cup playoffs. Like I think he's going to present that trophy and we're basically never going to see him again. He's going to be part of the PGA Tour board still for a while through the end of his contract. So he'll be involved, and they need a little bit of continuity because Brian Rolapp's not a golf guy, except I think, like I also tweeted about, they're also going to hire a golf guy to sort of come in and be that commissioner role. They're probably not going to call it commissioner. They're probably going to call it something else to make it seem like it's a different role. Except that's definitely going to happen. And that's going to be when the entire culture of the PGA Tour changes and they can actually start changing their entire organization, which is what I've been pleading for 4 years.
My only concern is if that commissioner is of that brigade, that Davis Love, that Freddie Couples, like that's my only concern. But also, like, as we've seen from all the old articles, when Freddie used to go and play for money, give Fred enough cash and he'll tell you whatever opinion you want. So, like,
I think Freddie is a yes person. And I think, again, he's a product. Guys like him and Davis Love and guys like that are a product of the PGA Tour culture. When the culture of the PGA Tour changes, they will change along with it. I've seen this happen in business. I've been a part of a lot of companies where new CEO comes in, new leadership comes in, the culture of the company totally changes, totally flips. And that's what I think is going to happen here. You either have to buy into it if you're going to be part of the company, or you're going to do something else. So I think that's what we're going to see here in the near future. It's going to take a while for this to sort of pan out. Like I'm not expecting any major changes now in 2025. I think that ship has kind of sailed. And even 2026 now is probably not going to happen either. I think 2027 is when we're sort of looking at some potentially major changes to the schedule or like a little bit more crossover because I want the sort of Super Bowl match play thing, except I also want other 4, 5, 6 crossover events between LIV and the PGA Tour, and maybe some of those existing PGA Tour events allowing exemptions for some of the top LIV players. Like there's no tournament on earth that's going to say no in a fair and honest world to John Rahm, Bryson, Brooks, DJ, Phil playing in their tournaments. It's just not going to happen. Like every tournament wants those guys playing in it.
Well, I'd also argue there's no tournament really that's going to say no to Ortiz, Puig, Munoz, Burmeister, and Herbert. Like they're all they're a step down in gravitas and name, but they're still world-class golfers that would elevate any event. So we talked a little bit about Brian and Scott. I think that it's very encouraging. I think there's also been a real seed change that I know you and I have both spoken about, that there seems to be zero rhetoric at all coming out of the Live camp and many of the Live media and Live members anymore. It's like, we're not going to talk about the PGA Tour. We're not really going to talk about OWGR anymore. We're going to do what we do. If you want to slag us off, you slag us off. We're going to say nothing. And it actually seems to be very pronounced in the last 2 weeks, which makes me wonder if there's been a comment or a discussion or a meeting where everyone's gone, should we just rise above this? Because do you know what? Like, we don't need to do it. Like, would you agree with me? Do you think that feels like something that's being done?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not saying ordered. It actually feels a bit more organic. It feels more organic than that.
I think this is a cultural thing. I 100% agree with you. Like, I don't think that and as much as, like, everybody knows how much I love Greg Norman and his team, that shouldn't even be debated. Except that is, the Greg Norman brought a different culture than what Scott O'Neill is bringing in. And Greg Norman had more sort of combative way of going about it, because that's exactly what Liv needed at the time. Scott O'Neill is not like that. His team is not like that. They're much more corporate. They're much more
the troops that land on the beach are not the same people that build the roads and the houses.
It's a great analogy. And I think that's exactly where we're headed here. I've already heard from a couple of players.
You loved that. Like, you loved that one, didn't you? You really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it was good. No, it's a good. Every now and then you get a good one.
32 on analogies. I'm 1 for 32 on analogies.
It's like me picking major championship winners. So, but I do get it right every now and then. So
also, on that, you tell the listeners who bet on JJ Spaun to win.
Yeah, my brother.
And my wife.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like, neither of us picked him. Your brother and my wife both picked JJ Spaun to win.
Because the agreement that I have with my brother, I'm not giving him betting advice, but I'm also, with him, I'm being objective. I'm taking my Live hat off, literally and figuratively, and sort of tell him, hey, like, these are the people you need to look out for. He doesn't bet them all, but like he does it strategically, and he wins on his golf bets much more than he loses, for sure. It's part of the reason why I don't bet, because I get too wrapped up emotionally. I overthink it. That's another story. But yeah, I talked to a couple Live players, and there is this vibe and culture within Live that like, and we sort of saw it in the documentary series Live to Win, where Scott O'Neill addresses the players, and he's like, I know people have said mean things about you and to you the last few years. I'm sorry for that, but we need to move on. And I think that moving on is something that's very hard for a lot of us to do, including me, because I've had a ton of personal attacks on social media the last 3 years, really strictly for liking Live Golf. And I think all of these things around that need to be considered. And like, I have tried many times over the past couple of years, particularly since June 6th, 2 years ago, to just like, to try to let some of this stuff go and like to try to move forward. And I think this leadership change, that's the thing that's given me more positivity, that change is actually on the way. And that's something that like I needed to see before I actually changed. And I've told a lot of people, I reserve the right to go back to hating the PGA Tour if I start seeing more of the skullduggery that they've done in the past. I don't want to see it. And we need to figure out this thing with the golf media too. Brandel Chambly, Eamon Lynch, those are guys that we need to root out, or we need to get them to stop with this nasty rhetoric towards the Live players and to Saudi by proxy. They need to stop doing it. I need the golf media to stop doing it too. If you stop doing that, like, I will turn down my volume from 100 to gradually 0, where I don't criticize the PGA Tour at all. So that's what I'm hoping for, because I love golf in general. I've already expressed all the reasons why my growing dislike for the PGA Tour, why it came about. Maybe I need to do another deep dive on that at a later time, but I want to put it in the past. So that's the whole thing to this new leadership coming in, new culture, a whole vibe change on both sides, more collaboration, making cool stuff happening in professional golf. That's what I'm that's what I'm all about in the end. And if that's what I get in the next few years, I will be a happy camper.
Well, look, we can't say fairer than that. I just think that so much of the nonsense, it's just people desperate to have a side. We discussed this, my view on society, and that people are just desperate to have a side. They're desperate to have a team to belong to. The family unit's broken down. I can't believe the podcast's going this way. The family unit's broken down. People don't have youth clubs and sports clubs in the same way they used to in other ways, and the same sense of camaraderie and belonging. So they search for something. So if they can find other mates to go, yeah, I agree with you. We hate Liv because of this. I agree with you. I hate so. It's just like that. It's that club of hate, and just grow up. These keyboard warriors. You'd never speak to me like that in person. You just wouldn't do it. Oh, that one guy that had been slagging me off, and he's met me at JCB and asked me if I'd have a picture with him. I'm like, firstly, why do you want to picture me? I'm an absolute no mark. I am a literal no mark in the world of golf. And two, you must have sent me 60 tweets saying this, that, and the other. It's just, can we all just be kind? And I actually said the other day about you and Lou Stagner. You and Lou Stagner would get on great. You'd get on great. You'd love golf. You love the data. You'd get on really well. So many people just they want to find something to argue about, and it's just have a minute off. I use the analogy all the time. I hate coffee. I can't stand it. You've never seen me go to a coffee lover's tweet and go, I hate coffee. You must be in the pockets of the Colombians. You just grow up.
Except for 4 Wellness. You're starting to get on the 4 Wellness.
I like all the 4 Wellness stuff, but not coffee, because I don't drink coffee. The 4 Wellness stuff's amazing, but not the coffee. But that's my point. It's just so mental that anyone would go, I hate something so much, I'm going to go over to where they're talking about it to tell them I don't care. Well, you must care because you're here chatting about it.
No, some of those people are real, but I will say some of this has been drummed up by these fake accounts, that these bot accounts, these AI chat bots, that I know for a fact the PGA Tour has funded some of this stuff. And I was hoping some of that stuff would come into in the litigation. Again, I'm willing to put all that stuff in the past as long as it stops, because if it doesn't stop, I'm not going to stop. So I just want to live in a much better golf world. It's part of the reason why I started commenting more on golf, 3 years ago. It's part of the reason why I became Pro Golf Critic, is because, I just had all these criticisms of where the pro golf game was going, and I felt like it needed to shift course. We've been off course for a long time. I finally feel like we're getting on the right course. That doesn't mean everything that I want in pro golf is going to happen. It doesn't mean that. However, I just wanted us to I wanted to have some sort of evidence, something I could put, I can file away to say, we're now on the right track. I think that we're getting there. We're not there yet, except there's more evidence than not at this point that we are going to be on the right track here pretty soon. So I'm willing to give a little bit of time. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy some great golf. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the live season. I'm going to enjoy the last major that we have. It's so crazy. You get to July, that's it for major season. We need to get the PGA Championship back in August. We need to extend this thing out a little bit further.
We need to have a September event where it's the PGA Tour versus Live.
Yep, 100%. No, we need to extend the season so that we have, if we are looking at the end of the major season in July, we need to have big events in August, which we do with the Live Team Championship, obviously. We might have to do something with the venues there. It's another story. We'll save that for another podcast. And then obviously for the PGA Tour fans, they have the playoffs. It's not really for me. Just the format and everything around it, even though they changed, it's not good enough for me. It's just like every other tournament on the PGA Tour on a lot of courses that I've already seen a million times. And then we obviously we get into the European Tour season. It really gets into high gear with some of my favorite events. Like I've said how Wentworth BMW PGA is one of my favorite events in all of world golf. Like I really enjoy Wentworth. I got to make it over there for one of those. Maybe this year. We'll have to talk about that one. But yeah, there's just a lot of great events. Irish Open, even though it's not at a great course this year, but last year was at Royal County Down, great course.
Where is it this year? My brain's gone blank. Where is it this year?
I think it's at K Club, if I remember correctly. I have to look that up. But yeah, I think it's at K Club. They're basically rotating between like a traditional links course, one of the inland Parkland
and Posh Parkland, yeah.
Yeah, so it's at the K Club this year, and it's at the K Club in 2 years. They haven't figured out 2026. It's probably going to be back at Royal County Down again, which would be amazing. So, yeah, it's a great course. So, except they have so many great courses in Ireland, so many great links courses, like they can figure out another one. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a great.
I actually think I'd like
the Ryder Cup.
The Irish Open. I know it's a logistical nightmare, and I know Portrush gets loads of stuff, so it doesn't need it. But I do love what they do with the Scottish Open, with the Scottish Championship, where they have Scottish Championship, where they do the Dunhill Links, where they have it a couple of different courses. I love that. I know it's hard to do it in an open.
Dunhill Links is amazing.
You want to be an open venue. Yeah, you want to be an open venue. So I know that if it's your turn to host the Open, you don't only want 2 days of it, but one day you could do it that you do it on rotation. You have 3 courses, and 1 year you have for the last 2 days and whatever else. You could work it out. The one course has but I love it when they do it at different courses. And Ireland's got so many magnificent courses, but again, there's infrastructure issues there.
And it's an open.
One of the best courses in the world is like Old Head. Like Old Head's one of the best courses in the world. You might be able to get 12 spectators on there. It's literally it is literally an island. It's literally like a
logistics is tough there.
It's just joined by a thin spit of land. Yeah, like it's just there we are.
Peninsula.
Right, I feel like we're done.
Yeah. But there's like so many other great courses around there. Portrush, obviously. This is Ballybunion, this Ballyliffin,
Castle Stewart's ridiculous. Oh,
there's so many great courses over there that like we need more of those in world golf and less TPCs. TPCs to me have ruined pro golf for me. Like I really have a hard time getting up to watch TPC River Highlands, which is where they have in the Travelers this week. Like I've seen it every year for 30 years. It's a very uninteresting course to me. I don't like it. And I'm always saying we need to have more golf in the Northeast United States because there's so many great courses in New York and around the tri-state, like Bethpage, where they're going to have the Ryder Cup later this year. Except TPC River Highlands is just not good. Like if you give me the choice of playing Lahinch or TPC River Highlands, I'm taking Lahinch 10 out of 10 times, obviously. I'm taking all those Irish and Scottish links courses 10 out of 10 times. And I think that more people need to experience that because when you experience that, it like unlocks this thing in golf that like, oh, that's what golf was originally about. That's the home of golf. Like that's what the whole spirit of the game came out of that. It wasn't invented here in the United States with this very uninteresting style of golf that we have the majority of the time. That's why I'm such an advocate for global golf. There's way more interesting golf courses out there that I grew up not even knowing existed. And I want everybody out there to know that these courses exist and we need to play them more and more and more and more.
Well, should we say goodnight? Should we let you get on with your day? I completely agree with you. But I'm sweating and it's...
I know. I'll let you get back to it. But
I played 9 holes today. I did a 1-to-1 one of my members of my team and went and played 9 holes. On a par 3 course.
Nice.
Just a nice bit of fun. We took,
like
I don't think enough people. I think a lot of people hit the range, and grinding on the range is great. But I think sometimes just like looking down the card, it was 89 yards, 92 yards, 68, 80, 78, 58, 147, 78, 120, and 116. Like that's just most of that's just me hitting different wedges just for fun. And like I actually played the first six all with the same wedge, having to hit between a 58 and a 92 with the same wedge, just playing a bit of flight control. And I love that. Like, I just get out there and play more par threes.
Claude Harmon said it best. He said it on his podcast. He said it to me in person. You need to go out and play more golf. Play less swing, less golf swing, more golf course. Because golf courses and sort of playing different shots, like you can't recreate that stuff on the range. You just can't.
No.
Like situational stuff. And yeah, that's like the and honestly, like when I think about it, as much as I like grinding on the range and all that stuff, the most fun that I ever have is actually on the actual course. So I think everybody needs to try to get out and play more. I'm going to try to play more this summer. Last year, it was a disgrace how little golf that I played. It was just the amount of rounds of golf that I actually logged was just a complete joke. I'm already ahead of schedule and pace this year as opposed to last year. I've got a few tournaments coming up this year too that I got to start getting ready for. Hopefully that lab putter comes in time. It probably won't, but custom fitting takes a little longer. I'll be lucky to get it before the end of the year at this point, but yeah, so no, everybody needs to go out there and play more golf for sure.
Before we go, I just a big shout out to Ping for all the support they give me, like the amount of gear they give me, the clubs, everything. Like, I'm so lucky, and my game is better at playing like a consistent set that I really got to know. So just a big shout out to Ping. They're so supportive. And
are they going to send me some stuff too? Like what's going on with that?
Not when you're posting about how much you love Vokies and you're branded Vokies. Like it's a very difficult conversation.
Look, I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest about my set.
You're JJ Spaun. You've got a mixed bag. You know what you want to play.
Yeah, but look, like I said, nobody's hyped up the Ping drivers as much as I have. I've been pleading with Phil Mickelson to play the Ping driver the entire year, and guess what? He puts it in the bag. The U.S. Open, even though he missed the cut, he had one of his best driving rounds of the year. The
one thing I say about that Ping 440, right? It can't help with club path. It can't help with too much of face control because a lot of that is the guy holding it. But if I've hit, I don't know how many 270 plus yard drives I've hit out the toe because I've managed to get that face square, but I've hit it out the toe and I can feel it's out the toe and the tech in it is just gone, I got you, mate. Don't worry about it. Bang. It's like, if I was hitting that when I used to have my old TaylorMade, that is going 230 and depending on where it's whipping around, like it's just, so there we are. Right. We got to go, ladies and gentlemen. It does pay to be in the fairway. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.